Welcome to Wisdom of the World. Today I will tell a story from Tibet, and it is called The Frog, and it goes like this. Once upon a time there lived a frog, not just any frog, a big, magnificent creature. And this frog lived near to an old widow. And every day he would ask this widow, "Mother, may I be your son?" And at first the woman says, I'm a human, and you're a frog. How can you be my son?" But he asked so gently, so kindly. Like when he spoke, it was like if music was playing. But in the end, she agreed. He said, "Okay, well, I will be your mother, you will be my son. So son, please, let us have some dinner." And when they were having dinner, he said, dinner in the old Tibetan way is like the rice and the butter tea. He says, "I think we need some cheese." And the mother says, "Yes, but we have no money for cheese." And he says, "Don't worry, I will go out and find some. But you're way too small to carry cheese. Don't worry, I will find some," he said with great confidence. So he went out, and he went out to the market. And he sort of hid, and he looked around and around and around on this very dusty market until he found exactly what he was looking for. And he saw a mule laden with cheese, with bags full of cheese. And he jumped up that mule, and he gave it commands to ride as if he were a human riding that horse. And everybody saw a frog on a horse, and the frog totally controlling the horse. They'd never seen something like this. They said, "He must be either some demon or a god, let him go." So he drove home, and he brought some cheese to his mother, and they enjoyed cheese. And soon after that, another evening when they were sitting together, he said, "Now I want to go out and find a wife." And the mother said again, "Wow." He says, "I'm going to find myself a wife," and he left. He left for many, many days, and the mother was quite worried. Because the frog, you see, didn't just intend to marry another frog. No, he wanted to marry a human bride. So he looked and he asked and he looked and he looked around, and finally, in a village nearby, in a sort of a big, prestigious house, he hopped on the sill, and there he saw a beautiful girl. And he says, "Yes, I want her to be my wife." So he went out looking for the father, and, hopped on the yak skin covered seats for honored guests in the house. And as the father was getting dressed, he said, "Oh, what are you doing here, frog? How did you get here?" And he said, "Well, I hopped and I walked a little bit. I came to talk to you." And the guy said, "How can I get rid of this annoying frog?" And he said, "I have come because I want to marry your daughter." And the guy said, "No way, you're a frog, you cannot marry my daughter. How dare you?" And he says, "Well, if you don't agree, I will cough." And the guy said, "Well, go ahead and cough." So he coughed, and this really deep roar came out of his mouth, and it shook the house, it broke the house, everything covered and split in two. And even the guy came out with his sword trying to kill him, and his sword broke into pieces. Everything was shaking and covered. And as the wife came running in, she heard her husband say, okay, okay, stop it, stop it. Then you can marry my daughter. And the moment he said that, everything was put together again in one piece. Everything was healed. And the house was there as before. And the wife started to argue with the husband. He says, how can you have our daughter be married to this frog? And the frog sat down in front of both of them, and again, very gently, very kindly asked, I would really like to marry your daughter. And if you don't let me, I will cry. And he was so sad when he said that, and tears came from his eyes, and those tears became a little trickle of streams, became huge rivers, and washed through the house, and the parents just jumped onto a chest which floated through the staircase, and they jumped off. And then also the wife said, yeah, please, stop this. You can marry our daughter. And again, the moment she said that, everything evaporated and dried, and even nothing was wet anymore. It was all put together the same as before. And then they had gone up on the top of the roof, and he told one of the servants to get a big box, and he opened the box and he says, please take this. And in the box there was all kinds of silver and gold and jewelry. It was their treasure, and the frog said, I'm not interested in your treasure. I want to marry your daughter. And at the same time he started sort of to laugh, and out of his mouth came fire, and everything started to burn and burn and burn and burn. And again, at that moment, both parents says, okay, you can marry our daughter. And it stopped and it healed again. Now when they told their daughter, the daughter obviously was not very pleased. She says, how can I marry a frog? So she looked at him, and she was basically pretty disgusted. But he said, okay, let's go, pack up your stuff, and let's go, and I'll bring you to my home. You will like it. I will take good care of you. You will have everything you ever wanted. So they left, and right before they left, the father said, hey daughter, maybe there's one way you can stop all this. And he gave her 3 bags, one with a gold lump, one with a silver lump, and one with a turquoise lump. And he says, it is said that if this is a ghost, that you can kill him with these. So on the way to the house, when there was a moment of rest, the girl said, okay, I must try to do this. And she tried first with the turquoise, and a time later with the silver, and then with the gold. But every time it would just sort of bounce off his head. It didn't hurt him at all. And he was so kind. He would just pick it up, and they said, oh, my darling, please, I think you dropped this gold, this turquoise, this silver. Please, be careful with your jewels. And even the 3rd time when she tried this with the gold, she was actually happy that she didn't kill him, because she says, how can you kill a loving frog? Maybe a frog, but at least he's a loving frog. He must be good, he must be kind. He is kind. So they came home, and the frog said, Mother, I found myself a wife. And the mother was astonished. It was not just any wife, it was a beautiful, kind, loving girl that came into the house. And actually, she had been imagining, the house of a frog was maybe somewhere in a pond, This house was simple and not as luxurious as she's used to, but actually she really liked it. She was happy. They talked all evening and they had a nice time. Now the next day there were races organized in the village. Every year, one time, they have races, and then all the guys come out and show off their skills in horse races. And everybody dresses up at their most prettiest. So this is just when they left, the mother and the wife, he said, please go ahead, I'll be there in a little while. And all during the races, there was one mysterious, capable, handsome boy who was better in all the sports than anybody else. And the girl, every time she looked at him, already felt as if she knew him. And the frog actually came and visited them a couple of times during the day. And on the 5th day, she went home a little earlier than the rest. She hurried home and she knocked on the door and he said, anybody here, anybody here? Nobody was there. And she went in and she looked all around and she didn't see her husband, but she saw frog skin laying all over there. A frog skin hanging on the wall. And then she realized that that handsome boy actually was her husband, who was also the frog. And then she stoked up the fire and she bundled up the frog skin and she threw it in the fire and burned it. And just at the same time, her husband came home. And he saw what she had done. He said, sorry, I burned the frog skin because I want you as my husband, and I want us to live together, so I don't need to be ashamed of being married to a frog. And the husband said, you made a big mistake. Now I cannot go back. And still, he continued to live with them. And over time, he grew more and more fond of his wife because she was a very kind and lovely girl. And so they kept living and they lived happily ever after. Now, the moral of this story comes really from Buddhist thinking, is that no matter what form we take, deep down, in our essence, we are all one. We are all the same. This is a message that maybe we understand intellectually, but when it comes to it, we see everything separate, which is the source of the problems in this world. Thank you.